The morning sun barely pierced through the dense fog that clung to the streets of London, casting an eerie glow over the city. The year was 1485, a time of political upheaval and shifting power. But something far more sinister was lurking in the shadows. Whispers of a new and terrifying illness had begun to circulate, an illness that struck without warning and killed within hours. It was the dawn of the sweating sickness, the mysterious Tudor epidemic that baffled physicians for centuries. In the quiet corners of the city, where the cobblestone streets were slick with the morning dew, the first victims emerged. They were gripped by a sudden sense of dread, a premonition of doom that seemed to seep into their very bones. Then came the chills, violent shivers that racked their bodies, followed by an intense fever. But it was the sweating, relentless and profuse, that gave the disease its name. Victims would sweat so heavily that their clothes would be soaked through, and no amount of rest or comfort could abate the torrent. As the disease progressed, the symptoms grew more harrowing. Severe headaches, agonizing body pain, and unquenchable thirst tortured the afflicted. Delirium often set in, leaving sufferers confused and frightened, their cries for relief echoing through the darkened alleys. The most terrifying aspect, however, was the speed at which the disease claimed its victims. Many who contracted the sweating sickness would be dead within 24 hours, leaving families and communities in shock and despair. The first outbreak of this dreaded illness coincided with a momentous event in English history, the Battle of Bosworth Field. It was here that Henry Tudor emerged victorious, ending the reign of Richard III and ushering in the Tudor dynasty. But as Henry VII ascended to the throne, he faced a new and insidious enemy. The sweating sickness did not discriminate. It struck down nobles and commoners alike, spreading fear throughout the land. No one knew where it came from or how to stop it, and its presence cast a dark shadow over the new king's reign. In the years that followed, the sweating sickness reappeared in waves, each outbreak more terrifying than the last. The summer of 1508 brought another bout of the illness, sweeping through towns and villages with ruthless efficiency. By 1517, the disease had become a regular visitor, its arrival dreaded like the harbinger of death. But it was the outbreak of 1528 that would leave a deep mark on the collective memory of the nation. That year, the sickness seemed to have grown more virulent, spreading rapidly across the country and even reaching the European continent. Germany, Switzerland, and Denmark reported cases of the English sweat, as it came to be known. But the epicenter of the horror remained in England. The hot, humid summer air seemed to carry the disease on its breath, infecting anyone who dared to venture outside. Entire households were wiped out, and those who survived were left to grapple with the loss of loved ones and the fear of the next outbreak. The theories about the cause of the sweating sickness abounded, but none provided a definitive answer. Some believed it to be a punishment from God, a divine retribution for the sins of mankind. Others speculated that it was caused by foul air or miasma, the noxious vapors that were thought to arise from decomposing matter and stagnant water. Physicians of the time were baffled, their limited medical knowledge rendering them helpless in the face of this relentless killer. Remedies ranged from the superstitious to the desperate, with treatments like bloodletting, herbal concoctions, and even the burning of aromatic herbs in an attempt to cleanse the air. The sweating sickness was not content to simply claim lives. It also left a lasting psychological scar on the survivors. The fear of the unknown, the unpredictability of the disease, and the sheer speed with which it struck created an atmosphere of constant dread. Families were torn apart, communities were decimated, and the social fabric of the nation was strained to its breaking point. People began to view any sign of illness with suspicion, and the faintest hint of a chill could send them into a panic. By 1551, the last major outbreak of the sweating sickness had run its course, but the legacy of fear and uncertainty it left behind would endure for generations. The disease disappeared as mysteriously as it had arrived, leaving behind more questions than answers. Modern science has attempted to solve the riddle of the sweating sickness, but it remains one of history's greatest medical mysteries. Some researchers suggest that it may have been a form of hantavirus transmitted by rodents, while others theorize it could have been a viral hemorrhagic fever or previously unknown pathogen. Despite these efforts, the true nature of the sweating sickness continues to elude us. The impact of the sweating sickness on Tudor England cannot be overstated. It altered the course of history, influencing political decisions and shaping the lives of countless individuals. Henry VIII, who reigned during some of the most severe outbreaks, was profoundly affected by the disease. His own bout with the illness in 1528 left him deeply paranoid about his health, a paranoia that would shape his reign and his tumultuous relationships. The fear of the sweating sickness also played a role in the dissolution of his marriages, as he sought to secure a healthy heir to the throne. In literature and culture, the sweating sickness left a haunting legacy. It found its way into the works of contemporary writers, who used the disease as a metaphor for the fragility of life and the capriciousness of fate. The eerie, almost supernatural nature of the illness made it a fitting symbol for the uncertainties of the human condition. The disease also became part of folklore, with tales of its horrors passed down through generations, each retelling adding to the mystique and terror. The social and economic ramifications of the sweating sickness were vast. As the disease swept through towns and villages, it disrupted daily life and commerce. Markets were deserted, fields lay fallow, and trade ground to a halt. The labor force was decimated, with both skilled workers and peasants falling victim to the plague. This sudden loss of population led to economic instability, with shortages of food and goods becoming commonplace. The fear of contagion also led to the isolation of communities, further exacerbating the economic downturn. The sweating sickness also had a profound effect on the medical community of the time. Physicians and healers were thrust into the spotlight, their every move scrutinized by a desperate populace. The limitations of contemporary medical knowledge were laid bare as doctors struggled to understand and combat the disease. This period of crisis did, however, spur a flurry of medical writings and the exchange of ideas. Physicians documented their observations, treatments, and outcomes in an effort to find a cure, contributing to the slow but steady advancement of medical science. The role of women in combating the sweating sickness is a largely overlooked aspect of this period. Women, often the primary caregivers in households, found themselves on the front lines of this battle. They tended to the sick, prepared herbal remedies, and maintained the household in the face of overwhelming odds. Their contributions, though rarely documented, were vital to the survival of many families and communities. The resilience and resourcefulness of these women are a testament to their strength and determination in the face of unimaginable hardship. Religious leaders also played a crucial role during the outbreaks of the sweating sickness. In a time when the divine was often invoked to explain the inexplicable, clergy were called upon to provide spiritual guidance and comfort. Churches became places of refuge where people sought solace and prayed for deliverance from the plague. This disease was seen by many as a test of faith, a divine punishment for sin, or a call to repentance. This religious interpretation of the disease shaped the way it was perceived and responded to by the population. The cultural impact of the sweating sickness extends beyond literature into the arts. The macabre nature of the disease inspired artists to depict scenes of death and suffering, capturing the fear and despair that gripped the nation. These works of art serve as a visual record of the period, providing insight into the emotional and psychological toll of the disease. They also reflect the broader societal preoccupation with mortality and the transient nature of life, themes that resonated deeply in an age marked by such profound uncertainty. The tale of the sweating sickness is a dark and eerie chapter in the annals of history, a time when death stalked the land in the guise of an invisible, unstoppable force. It's a story that continues to captivate and intrigue, drawing us in with its mystery and leaving us with more questions than answers. As we delve into the past, seeking to understand the secrets of this deadly plague, we are reminded of the timeless struggle between humanity and the unseen forces that shape our world.